Well, hello there,
This is Sebas Ren,
and this is Darth Walt,
and we're your hosts for a...
father and son Star Wars talk.
Yeah, let's do this!
Today we're going to talk about what can be the next story associated with Rogue One. A sequel, a prequel, or something else.
Well, we know what comes after Rogue One. It's episode 4, A New Hope. Rogue One is like episode 3.9.
And that is correct. A New Hope is an immediate sequel to Rogue One, and it's already done.
And episode 3 will be a prequel to Rogue One, right?
Right. And those two are the main options used by film producers to keep making more movies of the same theme. In these cases, expanding the story to the future or to the past.
What are the other options?
There is a common option that hasn't been done by Star Wars yet, and it's when the same story or chapter is retold. It pretty much replaces the old story, making it automatically non-canon.
Can you give me an example?
Yes, for example, movies like Spider-Man, Superman, Batman. They have been done many times over, with different actors, each of them had their own trilogies. Not all the movies are connected to each other. They share the same characters, villains, places.
But the new stories replace the old ones, right?
Exactly. They are not part of the same universe.
If the other options are called prequel and sequel, what is this option called?
A remake.
Do you think that they would do that in Star Wars?
Tell me, what do you think first?
I don't think so. Why would they remake one of the Star Wars movies?
Why would other filmmakers remake non-Star Wars movies, like Spider-Man, Superman, and Batman?
Perhaps because the first ones were very good.
That's a valid reason. It could be also because they want to present the story to a new generation of viewers. There are some people out there claiming that Star Wars should produce remakes of the original trilogy with new technology, or a remake of the prequels to remove some portions of the story that they didn't like. What do you think?
I'm not a fan of remakes.
Neither am I. It's like trying to change history. There are some things that you may not like, but we must accept it. It's part of who we are, and it applies to Star Wars as well. That's one of the things that makes Star Wars so special.
If there is no remakes, is there any option left?
Yes, and I think this would be the first of a kind option. And I'm happy that Star Wars is going to do it.
What's the option?
Not a sequel, not a prequel, not a remake, but a retell.
A retell? Sounds like a remake.
Well, they wouldn't be the same thing. I'm not sure what's going to be the final term. I think retell would be the right term.
And what will be a retell then? Sounds like retelling the story.
Exactly, but through the eyes of others. It's not replacing the old story like a remake would do. It would tell us the events through the point of view of other characters, or would tell us parallel events.
A retell of Rogue One?
Exactly, and this has been confirmed by Star Wars Rebels executive producer Dave Filoni.
But I thought the episodes of Rebels are all prequels to Rogue One.
And that is accurate so far. That was the original idea of Star Wars Rebels, to cover the gap between episode 3 and 4, and then, with Rogue One in place, the idea was to continue to build up the story until Rogue One. I think they asked themselves, why end here? In a recent interview, Dave Filoni said that a future episode of Star Wars Rebels may tell events that happened during Rogue One.
How?
Rogue One only follows the story of the main characters, the heroes that belong to the Rogue One mission.
And they all died at the end.
Yes, so we know what happens to these characters. But the Star Wars galaxy is so big and it has so many citizens. In the movie there are dozens if not hundreds of minor characters. Can you name a few?
Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and Leia.
All of them key characters in the Star Wars universe. They were alive and appeared for just a few minutes, or seconds in the case of Leia. So wouldn't you be interested in knowing what other things they were doing during the events of Rogue One?
Yeah, especially Leia, because she was pregnant during the final space battle.
Along with hundreds of pilots, with background story that could be interesting to know. And you know there were some Star Wars Rebels Easter eggs in this movie, right?
Yes, we saw the ghost during the final battle. We also saw Chopper. Also, we heard General Syndulla being called to the intercom. But we don't know if they are referring to Hera or her dad.
Dave Filoni has clarified that they were referring to Hera, which means she's alive during the events of Rogue One, and most likely we will see her and Chopper aboard the Ghost during the final battle of the movie.
That would be awesome!
Indeed, the Battle of Scarif has two scenarios. One is the ground operation led by the Rogue One team, and the other one is the space battle. The movie focuses on the ground operation and tells us very little about the space battle.
So then we're going to see Hera and Chopper in the space battle. They might even survive? We could see other members of the Ghost crew?
That remains to be seen. At this point, we can only speculate and make predictions. Who do you think we will see in this retell of Rogue One?
I think Sabine should be there, probably Zeb. Not sure about Kanan and Ezra.
I agree with you. I don't think Kanan and Asra should be alive by the events of Episode 4.
Because Kenobi and Yoda are supposed to be the last remaining Jedi alive, right?
Exactly. Even if they survive as wounded, they would still be Jedi. The other option would be,
Ezra falls to the dark side.
and that could take us to a completely different discussion, and post Episode 4 speculation. We would be going off topic. Maybe Asra and Kanan will be performing their last mission together. Which other characters do you think would be doing something important, something worth telling, during the events of Rogue One?
Agent Callus. He must be a full member of the Rebel Alliance by then.
Absolutely. Perhaps he's aboard on one of those vessels fighting Scarif.
Along with Rex.
Yeah, that would be super nice to see.
What about the villains, Admiral Thrawn?
If he is still alive by then, I would definitely expect him in this battle.
And Darth Maul.
I think in the last episode of Rebels, we got a hint of what's going to happen with him.
He's going to face Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He definitely is. The question is when. He knows he's alive in a desert, in a planet with two suns.
It's a matter of time he figures out that Obi-Wan is in Tatooine.
And I think they're going to leave this for one of the final moments in Rebels. If the retell of Rogue One is the final episode of Rebels, we can expect the last duel between Maul and Kenobi to happen in parallel.
And Kenobi must win the duel, of course.
100%. This will also bring back a Star Wars fact that will be canon again. That Maul dies by Kenobi's hand.
In a different planet though.
And I would also predict that Kenobi will suffer some new wounds resulting from this battle, which will provide continuity to Episode 4, where he complains to be too old for this sort of thing. He also fights Vader a lot slower than he did in Episode 3, which reminds me, what about Vader?
We saw him very little in Rogue One. I think that he's going to fight Ezra and Kanan at the end.
Probably yes. Star Wars likes rematches, but before that, they are expected to meet with Obi-Wan.
Yes! In the last episode, Ezra said they need to meet Obi-Wan and get the knowledge to defeat the Sith.
So this meeting with Obi-Wan would be expected to happen obviously before Maul finds Kenobi. And we should point out that when Asra and Kanan meet Kenobi, they shouldn't address him by their first name.
Alright, because he says to Luke that he hasn't gone by the name Obi-Wan for a long time.
Correct. Probably they will address him as Master Kenobi, which would solve the issue.
And they will ask him to join and fight Vader.
Yes, that would be the logical thing to do. But we know what's going to be Kenobi's response.
He will say no, because he has to take care of Luke.
Correct, although he may not be able to reveal this to them in order to protect Luke.
And Kanan and Ezra won't like that.
They won't be in a position to understand. So all this will build up the event for the grand finale, where they will face Vader for the second time, or even the Emperor himself, because their goal was to defeat the Sith.
But they're going to lose.
I'm afraid so. Like many Star Wars endings, this will be one with mixed feelings. The last minutes of the retell of Rogue One by Star Wars Rebels will show the end of two Jedi, Asra and Kanan, Obi-Wan defeating Maul, and the rest of the Ghost crew fighting the Battle of Scarif.
I am so looking forward to see that episode.
Me too. That brings us to the end of this talk. Let's ask our audience, do you like the idea of a Rogue One retell? Which character are you expecting to see there and doing what? Let us know in the comments, and if you like this father and son Star Wars talk, show us your support by
Like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.
These were Darth Walt
And Sebas Ren.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you again.